Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today in our series of Financial Literacy Week with Dallas Area Habitat. My name is Porfirio Coronado, and I'm here with Arita Higgins, our counselor, homeownership counselor with Dallas Area Habitat. Arita, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Porfirio?
I'm great. I'm good. I'm want to have this conversation and share some information about 401k with our attendees. We see here that we might have some attendees that have joined us in our previous sessions. As a reminder, these sessions are being recorded. So if you were not able to view any of our previous sessions, they are going to be available on our website. And quick reminder, and I'll remind you again at the end, this afternoon we will have Terry Ijamar talking about investing, and then the Investing Latina 6 p.m. So please join us at that time. It's going to be great information as we dive into 401k and then how 401k can dive into investing. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started and introduce the topic today that we have is 401k and Matchworks. So a lot of y'all probably have like a 401k where you've seen 401k on your paychecks, but you probably don't know what exactly you're investing on or what you're putting your money into. So today's topic is basically taking a look at that in more depth. What I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen. So give me 1 second. Evelyn, will you please give me access if you don't mind?
And let me just say while Porfirio's pulling up the presentation, that you all are just getting an appetizer right now. The meat and the potatoes is going to come later when we have these special two dynamic women from social media who's going to present at 12 and at 6 p.m. So we hope that you all are going to join those sessions.
All right, so 401k Matchworks. And like I said, my name is Porfirio Coronado, and my co-host is Arita Higgins. So let's go ahead and so what is a 401k? And anyways, so a lot of y'all might have asked that question. Okay, so 401k is a tax advance defined contribution retirement account offered by many employers to their employees. So this is a something that your employer is offering to you. So now a defined contribution means that the employer and employees make contributions to that account up to an annual contribution set by the IRS. Okay, so that's what defined contribution piece means. Now, there are two types of 401ks. There is a traditional 401k and a Roth 401k. Okay. Now, they are basically work the same. The only difference between both of them is that they are the way that they're being taxed. Okay. So one of them, which is a traditional, is taxed at the beginning. Okay. And then the Roth is taxed at the end after taxes. Okay. Now, both 401ks, they do have penalties once you withdraw from them. If you withdraw before your retirement age. Okay. So simply what you're doing is saving money for retirement. Okay. Now, for a 401k, workers can contribute through an auto payment withdrawal, meaning that if your employer offers this type of benefit as part of their benefit packages, you will be some of it will be taken out of your paycheck each pay period to contribute to this. Okay. Now, some employers can match some or all of of these contributions. Okay. So, for example, and we'll dig more into detail in just a second. But your employers can help you or give you free money for that on that account. Anything you would like to add to that, Aretha?
Yes, I just like to kind of piggyback off of what you said. So in a traditional 401k, the employee contributions, this is a good pointer for the 401k. The employee contributions that you make, it reduces your income taxes for the year, okay? For the year that they are made. So that's a positive to having this 401k. It reduces the income taxes that you paid for the year. But if you make any kind of withdrawals, like Porfirio said, those are taxed. And with a Roth, employees make contributions with post-tax income but can make withdrawals tax-free. And your employer, they can have one or both of these type of accounts, okay? So it's strictly up to the employer which one they want to offer.
And as an employee, you can also have multiple. So if you want to have like a traditional 401k and also a Roth 401k, you're able to. Okay. So and it's also beneficial for you if you do. Now, as like I was speaking, this is a 401k. Now, if you are self-employed, correct? If you're self-employed, meaning that you are working for your own on your own terms, you have your own company, you don't have a 401k. Okay, so you probably are going to start your own 401k, which is it's called an IRA. Okay, so and then you open that on your own with a bank or something. Okay, and that actually helps you as well to reduce your taxes. Okay, so that's a pointer for you. Okay, so what are you saying the second slide or third?
I see types of matching.
Okay, so okay, what is the 401k match? Okay, so one of the most important things to strategies of retirement planning. Okay, so simply what you're doing right now is in planning for retirement with the 401k. Okay, a percentage of your salary employer will match to your retirement, aka free money. Okay, so again, that's free money that your employer is giving you for you to retire, and you would thank yourself later on once you are reach retirement age at 75, 73 years old. You would thank yourself for starting this plan early. Okay. Because again, that way you don't continue to work. And a lot of times you will see that a lot of elderly are continuing to work. And that's because probably a lot of times they didn't contribute or they didn't have enough to retire where they don't have to, right? Because keep in mind, a lot of times you're going to have Social Security benefits, right? But Social Security benefits is not going to be enough to live your everyday life. Right now, if you take 80% of what you are annual income, multiply that by 80%, that's how much you actually have to have for retirement. And that's not what Social Security is going to give you. Okay, so which is why you have to start this early. Okay, for example, if you earn $3,000 a month on your employer contributions, 5% of your salary, that means that they can give you $166 per month as long as you contribute the same. Okay, so if you're not contributing, then they're not going to give it to you. Okay, so you have to contribute it on your own too. Anything you like?
Yes, also understand that not all companies match, okay? It's strictly up to the employer and the plan that you have. But if they are matching, again, that's free money. And as a counselor, we would tell you, never, ever, 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 never leave free money on the table, okay? So if you don't get anything else out of this session, just understand if you have a 401k match, you need to be contributing. And also, this is also not just for you, but even for your children that you have right now that are growing up. Maybe some of you have some children that are in college, getting ready to graduate and enter the workforce. Speak to them about this, because the younger you start, the better. That money is gonna grow over time. And like I said, the younger you start, the more money you're gonna see. And that means that at age 65 or whenever you decide to retire, you won't have to depend on Social Security. You'll be good. So those are some things to consider.
Awesome. And just a reminder as well, if you have any questions or comments, please submit those in the chat box or in the Q&A box. That way we can answer at the end if time permits. All right, types of matching. So like I said, your employer will be able to match what you contribute to your 401k. Now there are different types. One of them is a partial matching, meaning that they're going to match just part of what you're matching. for example, they're going to match 50% of your 50% match up to 6% of your annual income. Okay. Now, dollar for dollar is where they can match for whatever amount you match, whatever amount you put in, up to 6%. Okay. So, for example, if you are making $30,000 a year, okay, and you contribute 6% to your 401k, that means that you are going to be contributing about 1,800, okay, on a partial match. Now, if your employer is contributing 50% of it, that means they're going to contribute $900, right? Now, if you add what you're contributing, and if you contribute it up to the 6%, then that will be a total of 1,800 that you will put in of your own, right? So the total contribution for that month, for that year, it's going to be 2,700. Okay, so you just got $900 for free, because I mean you're working for the company, but you got $900 from your employer, basically for you to retire. Okay, in a dollar for dollar, it's similar. Okay, so you again, it's 1,800 that you will be contributing. Okay, and then you add your 1,800 that that your employer will be able to contribute. Okay, so the total contribution for that year that you'll be able to make on a dollar for dollar match will be 3,600. Okay, so that's the type of employer you want to work for.
Right.
Dollar for dollar, because they're ultimately are going to give you $1,800 for you to retire, and you will understand why all this kind of makes sense, because the more you have in retirement, the more money you are able to make in a long period of time, so that whenever you reach retirement age, it's basically there for you to just live your life. You know, you've done your work as a citizen, and you know, why not just live your life now? Okay.
Right. Like again, free money.
Free money. Anything you'd like to add, Aretha?
No, I think you summed it all up, Porfirio.
All right. So how does the 401k match rules? So there are rules. Okay, of course, right? They're just not going to give you money just because, right? Like I said, you're working, so you technically earned it. But there is a vesting rule. Okay, so it determines how much your employer contributes onto your until you leave your job. Okay, now to take 100% of your fully vested amount, on average, you have to be there for your employer for at least 5 years. Okay, but some companies offer it to you right away, but you have to do your research.
Mhm.
So it all depends on how the benefits for your employer works. Okay, but on average, it's about 5 years when you're fully vested, meaning that you were fully committed to that employer. Okay. Now, IRS contribution limits. Okay. Now, of course, they're not able just to give you, or you're not just able to give you this much money without having limits. Okay. So the IRS actually puts in limits, and those limits are set annually. Okay. For this year, the limit is 19,500 total contributions. So meaning between you and the employer, you cannot make no more than those contributions. Now, if you make more, you are going to be penalized about 6% of whatever your additional income you put in there. Again, and that's because it's your 401k contributions. It reduces your adjusted gross income whenever you file your taxes. Depending, okay. Now, this also applies to your, like I said, to your contributions and your employer. Now, penalties, okay, of course. You will have penalties if you withdraw funds from your retirement account early before you reach 59 and a half, okay, unless you have an approved loan. Now, a lot of times, whenever you're thinking about going to school, maybe buying a house, you know, just different type of loans or extenuating circumstances, you are able to reduce that or not have that penalty. Now, again, a lot of times, as you know, we are homeownership counselors. We don't really say like, oh yeah, you have money on your 401k, go take it out so that you can purchase a house, or go take it out so that you can go back to school. Again, because this is for you at later on. So if you take it out before you reach 59 and a half, you take it out at 40, you know, later on you're like, damn it, why should I taken it out? Why did I take it out when I could have just like, you know, buckled up and find other ways to do that other thing that I needed to do without taking money from my retirement account. Um, Trust me, you're going to thank yourself later. I'm not there yet, but I'm pretty sure those people that are at retirement age, they're like, yes, thank you so much for like, thank you for that information that I received, and you know, I was able to have all that money saved up in my retirement.
Mhm. And also just to add to that, Porfirio, when it says that all 401k funds are subject to early withdrawal penalties, you have to think about that even when you leave a job, okay? Because when you leave, you're going to get that money that you've invested. And it's best that in order for you not to be penalized on that, it's best to put that into either another 401k or some other kind of savings vehicle. So again, that you're not taxed or penalized for receiving those funds. So keep that in mind. Those penalties and things are even if you leave the job. And also, if you need more information on how your plan works, you can check with the plan sponsor, or there's also if any information like a website or something that you may have to go to for your 401k. It's called the summary plan description. It should give you all the ins and outs of your plan and how it works. And you can also speak to your HR representative as a starting point if you need to access that information.
Exactly right. Right, like Marita mentioned that if you don't know exactly what type of 401k your employer is offering you, but you're contributing it, make sure that you talk to your HR representative at your employer. They will be able to give you more details on it, because a lot of times, you know, benefits comes around, and you just have to. It's kind of like one of those things you have to check off your list for your employer, right? Um, and if you didn't do your research, or what do you need to do, then you know, you just probably just signed up and are not taking advantage of your full retirement contributions that you can make.
Yes.
All right, so the power of compound interest. Okay, compound interest is the interest that you earn on a previous earned interest. Okay, so meaning that you are earning money on previous earning money. um, Now, this is two types. Okay, resulting your individual investment growing over time without any action on your part. Okay, so just like 401k, like 401k, it's a type of investment. Okay, for example, if you look at here on this chart, you have investing versus savings. So let's say, for instance, you have $5,000 on annual savings. Okay, and those $5,000, you have it in two different accounts. Okay, you have $5,000 in investing, and then the other one's $5,000 in just a regular savings account with your traditional bank. Okay, um, the age of initial savings about is going to be about 25 years. Okay, the duration of the savings is going to be about 40 years. Okay, now if the average return of rate on both, I'm sorry, in one, for example, in investing is 6%, then overall on those 40 years, you're going to be making 773,816. Okay, versus in the opposite side, you know, it's only offering you 0.09, close to nothing, right? And you will be making 203,552. Okay, so the moral of this slide right here is that I would put myself in an investment type of situation versus a savings type. Now that doesn't mean like don't save at all and don't put your money on saving, but if you're able to, you know, put it on your 401k so that it can be invested. Okay. Now, this too could be good or bad, right? For example, compound interest, right? Compound interest is because you're going to be earning money on or interest and money on what you already earned, right?
Mhm.
But if you have compound interest like on a loan, right, that's not that good because that means that you're going to be penalized on something that you already owed. Okay, so compound interest is good in like investing, but not so much good on your loans or debt. Okay. Anything you'd like to add, Aretha?
Yes, I just like to give another example of the power of compound interest if everything goes right. So, say for example, at age 22, right after graduation, a young one starts putting just $50 a month into a 401k with a 50% company match. If you raise contributions by the same amount as any pay raises, you'll have more than $1 million by age 65. That assumes an annual raises of 3.5%. Again, getting raises of annual yearly of 3.5% and 8.5% return on 401k investments. So at age 22, $50 a month, and then you raise that every time you get a raise. Every time you get a raise, you raise that amount that you're putting into that 401k. By age 65, $1 million. Okay. You wouldn't have to work. You wouldn't have to depend on Social Security. That'd be a nice little nest egg for you, your significant other, your children, if you want to splurge on them. But again, at age 65, who wants to be working? Think about those kinds of things. And the biggest difference between savings and investment is the level of risk. Savings is basically putting away money for a future expense or a need. Investing is similar to savings in that way. You're putting away, but instead you're putting away money again for the future, except you're looking to achieve a higher return in exchange for taking a bigger risk. Okay, so those are the biggest difference. It's just the level of risk taken.
Exactly. And I was just going to echo on what you said about Social Security, and you don't have to depend on Social Security, right? I was reading an article where it says that by 2020, by 2057, Social Security benefits are going to be reduced by 22%. So imagine if by 20, after 2057, right? How much less are you going to be receiving in Social Security benefits? So, which is why it's important for you to start thinking about, the future. Okay. I know that right now it's like short-term goals, midterm goals, and long-term goals. So your long-term goal is to, start saving for retirement, right? Maybe a midterm goal is to purchase a house, right? Um, but everything, although like a lot of those goals, you have to take the first step, right? And you by you being here and getting some knowledge about what exactly a 401k is taking the first step, right? Because now you're gonna go to your employer and inquire about this and say like, hey, do you offer this? Because you might not know that they offer it if they didn't mention it to you, right? And then that's something that you can also start looking for whenever you start inquiring about new positions, right? Like what type of benefits do you offer? So if they offer 401k, it's like, okay, what type of 401k?
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
so let's go and continue.
Yeah. And also something else to think about, Porfirio, like you said, with Social Security, a lot of people are dependent on Social Security, but what if there's no Social Security? They're talking about that. Social Security might not exist, So those are things to keep in mind.
Right. So maximizing your 401k match, don't throw away free money, So that's basically what this presentation was about. Don't throw away free money. Why not? If it's there, why not go ahead and get it? Okay. So start early. Okay. Don't wait to start contributing because the earlier you start to save for a retirement, the more money that it will grow. And that's because of the compound interest. Okay. Um, get the full match if you can. Okay, so calculate the amount that your employer is able to contribute, and do your budget. Okay, and see if you're able to match that amount. So if they contribute 3%, well then you go ahead and contribute that 3% so that you can take full advantage of that money that they're giving you. Okay. If you do your budget, you're like, well, it's not really going to work with my budget because it's going to reduce my paycheck by $50. Well, then maybe we need to look at our expenses and see where can we cut down $50 so that we can take advantage of those $50 that the employer is going to give me. Because again, you would thank yourself in the long run.
And I just like to add, it's never too late. Even if you're up in age, it's never too late to start. Just start and contribute what you can. Yes, it's great if you can, put a good amount in there, but if you have to start small, that's okay, and gradually increase, that's fine too. But again, just don't leave money on the table. Okay, it's free money. There are some advantages to it. Um, and it's just a great tool to have. And if it's being offered, you should definitely take advantage.
So PocketWise and free retirement planning tools. So, Dallas Area Habitat, we have this platform called PocketWise, and a lot of y'all probably already have been in it. And I'm not sure if you actually seen this playlist where we talk about 401ks, Social Securities, the FIRE lifestyle, which is financial independent early retirement. Actually, this is, if you thought this presentation was good, there's a lot more information on PocketWise where you can get more knowledge about 401ks. And like I mentioned, if you are self-employed, there's information about IRAs, okay? So individual retirement accounts, okay? Because those you open on your own versus a 401k, the employer opens it for you if you contribute to them. So like I said, do your research and see what your employer is able to offer you. Rita, anything?
No, I think that's it, Porfirio.
Okay. So any questions or concerns, comments that you might all have? I would stop sharing. Let's see.
We have about 1 minute, Porfirio.
Okay.
Like maybe take one or two questions.
Um, how would this help with the house process? So again, retirement, it's mainly for a long-term goal, okay? Now, like I mentioned to you, 401ks, you are able to withdraw from the 401ks without a penalty. Now, do your research and be able to put it up front for a down payment on a house or to go to a school or to go to a higher education, basically. But do your research, but like I mentioned to you earlier, I wouldn't suggest for you to do that. Like if you have money in your 401k and you're also buying a house, I would see other ways where I can get money instead of taking money from my account from the 401k. And that's because, like, again, that's for your retirement at a long later on, right? So I wouldn't suggest for you to take out money for your retirement. Now, if you have to, then you have to. But yes, you're able to do that.
Porfirio, I saw somebody quickly. I would like to answer. Said something about, is there a match on catch-up?
Yes.
Just know that if you're 50 years or older, your limit increases by how much you can contribute. It increases by $6,500, and that's called a catch-up contribution. So, your limit would be $26,000. There are limits to how much you can contribute to these accounts, because again, they do decrease your adjusted gross income. But if you're 50 years or older, your limit is your total limit would be $26,000 for the year. And those are called catch-up contributions.
Now, Dramisha said that she has two jobs, and then both of her jobs offer 401k accounts. And she's asking if she can combine those accounts. Now, the only way that you will be able to combine the accounts is if you leave both jobs, right? Because then you would basically move your accounts from that job to the to another employer. Um, any other questions? Seems like we are all right on time. Uh, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, we don't forget today that we have a class at noon. It's getting started with trading stocks. So if you thought that talking about 401k is important, now take that 401k money and put it into stocks and all that, because that's ultimately where it's going to be. We have Terry Ijamar at noon. And then later on and this evening at 6 p.m., we will have the Investing Latina, a crash course for beginners on how to invest. So if you're interested about investing, come back at noon and then at 6 p.m. Okay, hope to see you there.
Yes, and I'm sure these two ladies are going to hit on a lot of stuff on 401ks as well. So be sure to tune in. Thank you so much. All right.